Boom, what's up, y'all? Welcome to the DJ Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Spook Realm 4Q, you are first as usual. What's good? He says, hit the like button. Please hit that like button. It helps the algorithm. Had a lot going on this week. Abel Valdez jumped right in. Peace, Kenny. If I'm not mistaken, I'm a blunt getting smoked. The same tune as Christopher Williams' "I'm Dreaming" R&B song. Don't wake me. I'm dreaming. I'm a blunt getting smoked and I can't wake up. I'm dreaming of being a blunt. It's close. I'm not sure. I was not in the studio when that song was being recorded. I'm not sure. Slightly different cadence. I'm not sure about that one. I have to go back and listen. I'm dreaming of I'm going around and I just can't wake up. Possibly it's close. It's like I guess maybe a reworking. I don't know. Gregory Nettis, what up? Spook Realm says he used Hey Jude in the cut Criminal Minded. Yes, he did. I think he used Paul McCartney twice. Hey Jude for Criminal Minded, and someone's knocking at the door. Somebody's ringing the bell. Do me a favor, wear your hats. So Jimmy, that's probably one of my favorite Paul McCartney songs when he was in Wings. Supreme Divine says, please bring Just Ice back. We should do that. Shout out to Just. FU2, what up? Jamil says, I heard a rumor that KRS-One has put out a Criminal Minded 2 album. I don't know. It's possible. Anthony Augustus Kenny, has BDP ever done any shows with DOS effects? Absolutely. I have an Epics Fails called KRS-One Goes Last. I did it last year. Please check that out. I talk briefly about doing a show the first time I seen DOS effects. We did a show with DOS effects when Day One Effects was at its peak, it wasn't at its peak. It was on its way up, but it was already the hottest song in the country, but it was still ascending. And I think it was in Rochester, New York, or somewhere in like upstate New York. And I'd never seen anyone do this before or after. DOS Effects came on, they did a couple of songs, and then they said, yo, when we throw this song on, y'all gotta calm down. I've never seen anyone tell a crowd to chill out when they do a song. And when they threw on Day One Effects, soon as it said boom, as soon as that beat drops, bum skiddity bump, the crowd went bananas. Absolutely insane. We had to go on after that. But I'd never seen anyone say, when we throw this song on, y'all got to calm down. That means everywhere they was performing, when Day One Effects came on, it was pandemonium, as it should be. First time I heard that song, it was on Video Jukebox. Y'all remember the Video Jukebox where you call, I think it was 99 cents, and you request videos? I was sitting there minding my business, watching the jukebox, and this record comes on, and these guys are in the sewer, and as soon as I saw this video, I was like, I got to see this again. And I called the jukebox 3 times back to back to back because I had to keep seeing this song. KRS did a song with DOS Effects on, I believe it's the KRS-One album, 1995. He brought DOS Effects out at the Verses with Big Daddy Kane because they sampled Day One Effects. It's KRS-One. From the song Breath Control 2, where he says they want effects to make them look exciting. They took the Day One Effects and made it their song. So that was a KRS-One sample in that song. Trying to think if we did any other shows with Das Effects. I'm pretty sure we did. But off the top of my head, that's a very long-winded answer. And now I'm behind. Supreme Divine, what up? James Green, what up? Derek Mallory, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Michael Anthony says, who produced Bring It Back on the Rhyme and Reason album? I have no idea what that song is. Kevin Monroe says, KP, what's the tonight's theme? There is no theme tonight. We're just talking. I was going to finish up the SP1200. I have another stack of discs like this to go through. But once again, I came in the house a little late today, and I was doing some texting with an upcoming guest. So I didn't get a chance to hook up the SP1200. I'll probably do that on Friday if we do a Friday. Try to make Fridays a little more regular. We'll see what's up. This guest we got coming up, maybe in a week or two. Boy, I can't wait. This is one of my favorites. So this is going to be really good. Let's see. Mike Rocks 25, what up? MMA, what up? Spook Realm 4Q says, did KRS really diss Docs on y'all, or was that rhyme misunderstood? That rhyme was misunderstood. And I remember when we did that rhyme is from the song Feel the Vibe, Feel the Beat. It eventually became the song Feel the Vibe, Feel the Beat, which is a bonus track on Sex and Violence. And when we did the song, people thought he was talking about DOS effects, which was absolutely not true. And as a matter of fact, there's another little DOS effects trivia. As a matter of fact, I remember Wendy Williams, shout out to Wendy Williams, got on the radio and said that KRS-One dissed DOS effects. And I took it upon myself to call one of the members of DOS Effects and explain to him that we absolutely did not disrespect. We have nothing but love for them, and the whole hit squad is family, and there's nothing. It's just a misunderstanding, and like you said, a misinterpretation of the lyrics. So I took it upon myself to make that call, because around that time we had a lot of beef. I always talk about that. 92 was a very tumultuous year for BDP. So I was like, we don't need to add to it with this. So I called up DOS Effects to let them know there's nothing but love. And I forgot which one of them I was talking to, but they was like, we already knew that. We wasn't even tripping. So it's all good. Terrence Hill just said what I said, that Chris said they want effects. You know, that song was out for months and I never knew that was KRS. Chris told me that. Let's see. Patrick Y, what up? Says Patrick Y says Little Kim is about 4'11", no more than 5 feet. Met her years ago before surgery. I never met Little Kim. I've been in the same 10 feet as Little Kim. And yes, she is very little. I never had a chance to talk to her. Silence Someone says peace, peace. Engage VR YouTube channel says waiting for that Nervous part 2. You know what? And I went back and listened to Nervous because some of y'all gave me grief on this channel talking about Nervous, the song from By All Means Necessary, which is right up there with my favorite BDP KRS-One albums. And one of you guys was saying, well, a few of you on here were saying that Nervous was actually a good song. So I went back and listened to it, and I will stick to my guns. I do not like the song Nervous. I feel like it didn't even belong on that album. I think Essays on BDPism, which was some weird the song that was out, that was done when Scott was still alive, and Jive put it on some compilation. I think they should have put that on By All Means Necessary instead of Nervous. And when I get Chris on this channel someday, That's one of the questions I'm going to ask him about. But I do not like Nervous. That's probably my least favorite KRS-One song of all time. Let's see. Chuck Nice, what up? Chuck Nice says, DJ KP, what up, Cuzzo? What up? Says, thanks for speaking about hip hop and helping to keep it alive. Thank you. I really enjoy talking to the people on here. He says, you and your brother should take some of those tracks you played, make an independent album. I would love to. Chris already does so much work with a lot of different people. Maybe one day. Big Block, what up, though? James Green, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. He says, bring on ICU. I actually spoke to ICU about coming on the channel like a year ago, so we'll see what's up. Let's see. Patrick Wise says, KP, who's the best player you ever guarded or gave you buckets? That I guarded? I think I said on Friday, for those of you that wasn't watching the Friday live, please go back and check it out, Rewind Crew. There was a player who at the time, well, not at the time, but the following year became the #1 high school player in the country. And they were saying he was the best New York City prospect since Lou Alcindor, better known as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So this guy was projected to be one of the greats coming out of New York City, and his name was Lloyd Daniels. And I have an epic fail concerning Lloyd Daniels. Ooh, it's a good one too. I think I'm gonna do it instead of telling. I think I'm just gonna do the story, tell y'all the story. It's kind of funny. When I was in high school, I played against Pearl Washington. I wasn't holding him, but we were in a zone. But Pearl scored 45 points in a 32-minute high school game with no three-pointers and no shot clock. Pearl had 45. That's the most points I've ever been in a game where somebody scored. It's ridiculous. And we was in a zone, and every shot he shot was a layup. You know who else? I'm going to tell you a player who, when I was in college, gave buckets, not to me, but to my team. Do you guys remember D. Brown, who used to play for the Boston Celtics, who won the slam dunk contest? When he played for Jacksonville University, my college, St. Peter's University, shout out to the Peacocks. We played Jacksonville down in Jacksonville, and he was ridiculous in that game. Shout out to D. Brown. All right, moving right along. JT in the building. Kevin Monroe, what's up? Ilroy, what's up? Christopher Caldwell says, wish Dosk would have been on Headbanger. Me too. I told a story about Headbanger. First time I heard about it was from KRS. Great song. Then there were people on this channel saying Headbanger wasn't really that good. So we respect all opinions on this channel. Rosmel said Wendy Williams is one of the queens of misinformation. I mean, she had sources back in the day, and she got something, she ran with it. I was always cool with Wendy. Haven't seen her in decades. I probably haven't seen Wendy since the 90s. But she can, I mean, I don't know how reliable, because some of the stuff that she said is coming to pass in the news these days. But what she said about BDP was wrong. Jamil says you should play some of the KRS unreleased music during your show. I think I mentioned on this channel a couple of times that due to copyright and publishing rights, it's hard for me to play new KRS-One music because once you play it, it's out there, and people will take it and replay it and stuff, and then it becomes a whole publishing issue. And I played a KRS-One practice tape. It's on this show, on this channel, practice tape that we did back in '93. I played it a few years ago on SoundCloud, and I got a call from KRS-One's management saying, Kenny, you can't just be playing KRS-One songs because there's publishing involved. Please let us know before you play a song. So I can't just play KRS-One songs, but I got a few. I got a bunch of stuff that we did, just SP1200 and a microphone in the crib that's ended up becoming songs. Some things didn't. I got some stuff, but one day maybe. Michael Ball says nervous is tight. See? Man, listen. Mike Rock says, what nervous was that joint? See, that's what I'm saying. I got a lot of heat on this channel because I didn't like nervous. I went back and listened to it a couple months ago because I was thinking to myself, maybe I was bugging, but I wasn't. Engage VR says, I still get hyped off that song. Everybody apparently likes that song on here except for me. Jamil says, the Poisonous Product by KRS is relevant right now. Absolutely. A Kenny Parker production. Absolutely. Joey Joe says, Nervous was a cool song. It was a Bugging Out album cut. Yeah, but there was other stuff. There was other stuff that could have been on. There was other songs that could have been on that album. Or I just didn't like it. Can I get one person on here to say that they didn't like Nervous, or is it just me? Jason Wall says Lloyd Daniels got a shot, didn't he? Yeah, eventually. After years of playing in the it wasn't the G League then. I forgot what it was called. He had got popped in the crack house. He had a very tough life. Very tough life. Yeah, Joey Joe says Jamil KP can't play any unreleased joints without permission from KRS or G Simone. Yes. Patrick Wise says Pearl's handles was crazy. Whatever you saw of Pearl Washington in college, imagine that against high school players. I've seen Pearl do some of the most ridiculous in high school. I'd have to get up and show y'all what I actually seen him do. And he did a crazy thing to me. I wasn't going to plug the book this week, but I'm going to plug the book. My brother's name is Kenny, The Origin Story of BDP. I talk about my encounter with Pearl Washington in that book. I go into great detail about what happened when me and him encountered each other. Jason Wall says, KP, did you ever hear of the New York mob trying to muscle their way into rap music in the 80s? I just heard recently that the mob put up the money for Sugar Hill Records. Don't know how true that is, but I was watching this thing on an investigative reporter, a very good one, who's connecting a lot of dots between the mob and different people. And she said that the mob had their hands in the original Sugar Hill Records, which means that they had their hand in hip hop from the very beginning of the rap business. They owned all of music, so it makes sense. Rosmel says, how did this track represent the real hip hop end up on both KRS and Das FX album? Probably was a deal. It happens all the time. Two artists make a deal to do a song. They decide we're going to put it on both albums. Probably the record company probably decided that. Because you have to get permission to do songs with other artists. You just can't say, yo, you run into Das FX, yo, let's do a song together. You can say anything you want to say. The two record companies have to agree to lend out their artist to another company. And if they say no, the answer is no. I'm not going to start on my record company rants this week, but that's another thing that just adds to it. You can't even make a record with your friend without their permission. Matter of fact, KRS-One and Big was supposed to do, well, they was trying to get Big on, what album is this? I Got Next, maybe? And that got rejected. Big, somebody said Big couldn't do the song. And I remember Big saying, I wish I could have been on that song on the KRS album, but somebody said Big could not do it. I heard from a very reliable source that Jive Records Elektra Records did not want Leaders of the New School on Scenario. Elektra Records felt that Leaders of the New School was hot and was about to blow up, and they didn't want their act helping out A Tribe Called Quest without some kind of compensation. So they were against, they had to fight to get Leaders on Tribes. And Leaders had one album out. Tribe already had People's Instinctive Travels, which had Bonita Applebaum and Can I Kick It? Was probably gold by that point or approaching gold. And they were doing the low end theory, and they had to fight to get Leaders of the New School on to Scenario. Could you imagine if Elektra had eventually said no? Hip hop history would have been changed. And I heard this from a very reliable executive. Man, F all of them, man. I'm not cursing this week. MMA says Cheryl Miller scored 105 points in a high school game. Yes, she did, which was the record. And I heard a funny story. Reggie Miller, I think Reggie Miller told the story, is this brother of Cheryl Miller. Reggie said he had a big game in high school. He said he scored 40. And he said he got in the car with his sister, he's riding, and he said, so she's like, well, how was your game today? You know, how'd it go? He's like, I had 40. Like, woo, Reggie Miller killed it. And she was just like, word, like that. So he was like, well, how much did you have? She said 105. And he didn't even believe her. Two crazy more things about that. A, the record was broken by Epiphany Prince. Shout out to Epiphany Prince from Brooklyn, Fort Greene. She scored 113 in a high school game. And that's not even the crazy part. Lisa Leslie scored 100 points at halftime of a girls' high school game. She had 100 at halftime and the team quit. They didn't even play the second half. She had 100 points in half. That's ridiculous. I would love to see footage of that. If I ever met Lisa Leslie, I'd need to know, how did you score 100 points? That means she didn't pass the ball one time. And she made every shot. And they must have been pressing. The other team must have turned it over. That's just crazy. Dartmouth says, Gangstar, X to the next or Lovesick? I'm going X to the next. Not because of a BDP sample, but just because I like that better. KP, do you remember the group Knuckleheads from the Hit Squad? Vaguely. Blaze, the creator, said, Kenny played in the shorts era. It wasn't by choice. It sure wasn't. And I had some short shorts that didn't really fit right. So not only were they shorts, they were practically like Speedos. CMC's technique, what up? Patrick Wise says, to me, Cheryl Miller is the best female basketball player. Well, she was ahead of her time. She was incredibly athletic and skilled. She was very ahead of her time. I don't know, in my opinion, I don't know if she's the best. I think Diana Taurasi is the best, but she was very good. I would love to have seen her in her peak play in a modern era. MMA says, Kenny, have you ever had a xylophone? No. Never even touched a xylophone. I think we talked about this on Friday. Spook Ram said, stop fronting, DJ KP. Call people jive turkeys when it's appropriate. We need to bring that back. You dig? I can dig it, man. That's an old 70s term. They should bring that back. Jive, you jive turkey. If somebody called you a jive turkey in the 70s, that was the ultimate disrespect. You had to fight somebody over that. Calling somebody a jive turkey was worth fighting over. They should bring that back. Everything else comes back. Fashion comes back. Why don't they bring back why don't they bring back slang? Corey Fletcher says, Kenny, switching speeds like Bruce Lee riding a Fuji in the movie. Did you get what Redman was talking about? No. And he said it twice to make sure we got it, but I didn't get it. But I love Redman. I love that song. Paul Lepe says, was listening to The Style You Haven't Done Yet. One of my favorite songs off of Ghetto Music. The flip of the 45 is crazy, man. Jive wasted so many KRS songs. Rod Justice says, I didn't like Nervous. Thank you. Somebody help me out, man. I'm getting beat up on this channel. Terrence Hill says, Nervous, I thought was a good song. They just put it at the end of the record for the space, almost like a side one outro. Yeah. KRS had other rhymes then. He had other rhymes at that time that could have came out. Jason Wall says, I always fast forwarded past Nervous on side 2. I got two. Daniel the Don says, yo, KP, is it possible you can get KRS' wife Simone or his kids on your show? It's very possible. Everybody's out in Europe right now, but yeah. DJ J Knight says, believe it or not, the higher level on Return to Boom Bap was my go-to in the mid-90s. That was a great song. Shout out to DJ Premier on the track. Was that Blackula? I shouldn't be snitching on the samples. Yeah, that was a dope record. Let me scroll down a little bit because I'm falling behind. Okay, I just jumped down. DJ J Nice says, that's a fact on Sugar Hill. Those damn Robinsons. FE2 says, Mob has always been involved in the music business. Yes, always. Always. Mob, I never knew the Mob had something to do with Sugar Hill. The press release is that, Sylvia Robinson started the label just because she heard hip hop and wanted to put it out. Did not know the Mob had their hand in that. Joy Joe says, I can definitely see the Mob in with Sugar Hill Records because the label was already robbing artists blind with the shady contract deals that they was making their artists sign. Well, the deals were standard. Shady is standard. It's not like Sugar Hill was doing something different. They was doing what everybody else was doing. The sad part was it was a black-owned company robbing this new genre of black kids coming up with something special. And instead of changing the game on a business level, they kept the status quo going. G Dog says, how about them Knicks? How about them Knicks, man? How about them Knicks? I know they're sick in Boston right now. Y'all had that game. Jason Wall says, scenario without Busta Rhymes ain't the same. It's not. De La Soul was on that record at one point. A bunch of people jumped on. De La Soul, I think Jerobi was on that record. Shout out to my man Jerobi. There's a few versions of Scenario floating around with different MCs on it before it became what it became. But Elektra did not want their new hot act on the record. Batuk Earth says, wow, that would have been a serious L if they listened to their label. A serious L. A serious L. It would have been a dope record, but it wouldn't have, I don't know if it would have been the standout. I don't know if it would have became the posse cut. It absolutely wouldn't have been without the leaders on that record. Absolutely. That's the legendary rhymes on that record. Elektra wasn't with it. And it makes a scenario could have been very different without leaders. Yeah, and the remix. Mark Thompson says Elektra was bugging. They was. But at the time, they thought that leaders was going to be huge, even bigger than Tribe. I mean, when PTA was out, it was huge in New York. I don't know how big it was around the country. I don't know if it was that big around the country as it was in New York. But in New York, PTA was on fire. And so they was like, this group didn't drop their album yet. They got one single, PTA. This group is about to be the next group. We're not wasting them on Tribe, I guess. That would have been a disaster. Terrence Hill says, scenario remix. I got a story. KRS One goes last. Once again, please check out that Epic Fails. I talk about the scenario remix and what I saw. Did I ever tell y'all the first time I heard scenario remix, how I heard it? I don't think I told y'all this story. Okay. There was a concert with leaders of the new school. De La Soul was headlining, and a Tribe Called Quest at a place called The Ritz. And some of the footage of the scenario video that Spike Lee shot, you could see some of them performing live in the video. That was at this particular concert. I snuck into that concert because I didn't have a ticket. So I snuck in early, and when I came in, I got a backstage pass from the late, great Chris Lighty. Shout out to Chris Lighty, my man. So right before they opened the doors to let the people in, they did a sound check, and right before they opened the doors to let people in, I ran in to see Boogie Brown. Shout out to Charlie Brown. And he was like, yo, we just left the studio with the scenario remix. Now, being the big fan of Tribe that I am, I talk about it all the time on this show, I lost it. A scenario remix? He said, I got a cassette of it right here. And Charlie Brown said, I'm a player. He went up to the DJ booth. The crowd was just coming in. So it had to be like 5 people. They were just trickling in. And because they didn't even start the music yet. So there was people in the place, but it wasn't the general public yet. He put in the cassette up in the DJ booth, so the music came in the whole place. And I heard, dun, 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 dun. Here in 1992, we have the scenario remix. We had 7 MCs, one which is in spiritual essence. Buster's talking. I'm like, what is this? And then that beat dropped. I was like, oh my God. And then Boogie Brown came back down. He's standing right next to me. Excuse me. And his part comes on, making moves, y'all, on and on and on. Check it out to the break it, throw it. Who's that? And he's right next to me like this. And I'm like, oh my God, Brown. So, and after he played that, he went back upstairs, got the tape, and then the DJ started DJing. So I heard Scenario Remix from Boogie Brown at the Tribe show, at the Tribe video shoot for Scenario early. He said they just came out the studio with it. So I got it real exclusive. Shout out to the whole leaders. Man, yeah, that was dope. I don't know if I told that story on this channel. If y'all heard the story already, please forgive me. But yeah. You know, I love Tribe. Donald Grundy says, nervous is the shit. You bucket. See? Joey Joe says, wasn't Stimulated Dummies the leaders of the new school management? Well, Stimulated Dummies was, shout out to Dante Ross and his crew. I think one of them passed last year or the year before. Dante was the A&R of Elektra. So he signed leaders, but I don't know if he was the management. Stimulated Dummies did some production on Puba's album too, the solo Puba album. I don't know if they were the management, but they were he was definitely A&R. Maybe it was Dante that said, don't put leaders on it. I forgot who told me this. It was somebody at Jive. It was an executive that would know, told the story. You know, I want all native tongue stories. Henry Cedillo says, hit the thumbs up, family. Please hit the like button. Helps the algorithm so we can get some new people as part of the family. Matter of fact, if you're just tuning in and you are new, we do this every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm going to start doing some Friday nights if I'm in the crib, just to have some more fun. And big up to the Rewind crew. Kevin Monroe says, my son attended St. Peter's as well. Big up to the Peacocks. Says 2015. Wow, he's mad young. Let's see. Engage VR says the reference from Bruce Lee Game of Death movie when he was riding a Fuji. That was his last movie, Game of Death. Let's see. So somebody said they love Lisa Leslie. Big up to Lisa Leslie. Ray says, what about Stephon Marbury? I went to high school with Stephon Marbury's older brother, Don Marbury, who was a big star at Texas A&M, and was a big star. I went to Lincoln High School in Brooklyn, obviously, and Don Marbury his game was exactly like Stephon Marbury minus the handle. So where Steph would be a point guard, Don would be like a 2 guard, or like his handle was not like a point guard. His handle was more like a 2 or even like a 3. He was like 6'2" with a ridiculous vertical. Everything that you think of Stephon Marbury, just without the handle, that was his older brother. And I went to high school. I played on the same team with him, actually. I go into great detail in the book. Papa Sincere says, nervous was official because it went against the grain and was low-key funny. Yeah, I mean, Jive Records was probably short for Jive Turkeys. Probably. Shout out to Jive. Shout out to Ann Carly of Jive. Rod Justice says we know that what the sample of on a higher level is because of the liner notes. Oh, okay. So I didn't rag. I know Preem doesn't like when people tell us samples. Um, Rosamel says artists getting pulled from tracks is common wherever there's a beef between the labels, like MJB getting pulled from Ghostface All I Got, and Vita got pulled from Mobb Deep's Burn. Um, Mary J. and Faith Evans did Love Doesn't Live Here Anymore. And after they started beefing, they took Mary completely off that song. Sometimes it has to do with money. Sometimes you can, the record company, if they lend you their artist, they want to get compensation. You got to pay. I mean, there's a few reasons why that could happen. I remember the Notorious Big record with Pudgy the Fat Bastard, Think Big. That record never came out. That was a dope record, by the way. That record never came out because, as I heard the story, Pudgy the Fat Bastard paid Biggie, was it 10 or 15 grand for his verse? And he paid before they asked Bad Boy. So he paid his money, they did the song, and then Bad Boy said no and rejected it. So the song never came out, and Pudgy lost his money. That's how I heard the story. Think Big, Get Big, Champagne and Moet. Lord Tariq was on that record as well. Shout out to Lord Tariq. Shout out to Pudgy too. I bumped heads with so many people, not in a negative way, just ran into so many coming up. I used to see Pudgy all the time in the club, Lord Tariq. Everybody in New York was in the parties, in the tunnel. Terrell McMillan, once again, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. It's always appreciated. Says, KP, what's good, bro? I got at you on IG, you never got back. Oh man, I must have been running crazy. I'm sorry, I'll go back and check that out. I've been running crazy the past couple of weeks. I probably saw it and meant to get back, but hadn't had a chance. John O says, did you ever smoke Matt Ism with your bro? No. MMA says Sob Story was bigger in Toronto. Sob Story was dope. I forget. Sob Story was dope. Jason Wall says Rappaport is a sellout chump now. I'll leave that. I'm not even going to comment on that. I met Rappaport once. He was chilling with Smith and Wesson at. I went to one of these Brooklyn block party performances outdoors. I think MOP was on the bill. This had to be in 2009 or 2010. And I ran into Tech of Smith and Wesson, and he was with Michael Rappaport, or they was in the same area, and they introduced. That's the only time I ever met him. He was supposed to do something with KRS too, right around the time of that Tribe documentary, but it didn't work out. Doyle in the building. The Doyle brothers, big up. James Thomas says nervous was the truth. See, I'm getting beat up again on here. I need somebody. I need the scale to tilt back in my favor. CMC, thank you so much once again. Big up to all the regulars on the channel, especially the ones that contribute. It's much appreciated. So speaking of native tongues, when I hear Break of Dawn by De La, I still get goosebumps. Me too. And not as hard as possible. What De La track is your banger? Oh man. First of all, first time I heard Break of Dawn, I called Maceo at home to congratulate him on a dope single. Shout out to Maceo. Hopefully we can get him on this channel one day. De La songs, man. any number of songs, especially on. I loved both 3 Feet High and Rising and De La Soul is Dead and Balloon Mind. Oh man. I'm gonna go unorthodox. I'm gonna go I Am I Be on Balloon Mind State is one of my favorite songs ever. I'm gonna go Past the Peas on De La Soul is Dead. And come on everybody, let's baseball. I'm just going album cuts. I'm not even gonna do singles. Oodles of O's, which I think should have been the second single on that album. Oodles of O's is another one that gets me going. I could talk about Native Tongue all day. Sweet Goldilocks, what up? Red says Dante Ross gets the gas face. Big up Dante Ross, man. Maybe one day I can get him on the channel. His story, he has a book out too. His story is crazy. Big Remo says, I made eye contact and approached you and introduced myself, and you were like, nice to meet you. And you were like, do you have a tape or anything? And I was like, nah, just respect. You said, okay. A word? Well, big up, Remo. Well, that's dope. Joey Joe says, Jive Records should have put the remix of Scenario on the end of A Tribe Called Quest's third album. Yeah, they should have put it on some album. I think it was only available on vinyl. It might have been on some like rarities or hit and misses or one of them kind of albums. But that Scenario remix was ridiculous, man. Oh my goodness gracious. James Thomas Jr., thank you for your contribution to the channel. Says, I ain't wore nothing but Nike since 89 after Chris said what he said in Nervous. I have to go back and listen to that. I don't even remember what he said. Nervous gets a lot of praise on this channel. It might be me. Is it me? Silent Someone says, get the book. Please get the book. The link is in the description below. Let's see. Christopher Caldwell says, will you be going to the Rock the Bells Festival June 28th? I'm not sure. Probably yes. I have some stuff going on. Maybe probably yes, just to check it out. I don't think I'll be DJing, so probably check that lineup is dope. Absolutely. Patrick Wise says Stephon Marbury had the most pressure of any young player to make it based on that his older brothers didn't make it to the pros. Yeah, they lived in the projects in Coney Island. For those that don't know, Coney Island is a mad hood. Coney Island is hood. There's the park where there's the rides and all of that. And then if you go further down, even when you're in Coney Island where the rides are, if you look down, you can see a bunch of buildings. When I was in high school, they used to talk about 23rd Street all the time. 23rd Street was like the illest of the ill part of Coney Island, from what I heard. And that's why Steph was crying when he got that first round draft pick. When they announced, I think, what he went, 7th? That's a guaranteed millionaire. A first round draft pick in the NBA, you are now a millionaire. And that's get your family out the hood. Hell yeah. Big Remo, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. Says, my story was 3 comments. I was trying to get them all together. Oh, sorry, I didn't see the rest of them. I'm sorry, I'm just scrolling through trying to catch up. I'll probably go back and check it out. But thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. Marquise says Sadat X got his check from Bad Boy. I heard on Bad Boy, you had to pressure Puffy a little bit to come with the check. It's crazy. Mike Rock says, and we were talking about this on Friday. I just listened to the Fish That Saved Pittsburgh soundtrack, and there was a slew of hip hop samples from that soundtrack. Absolutely. That soundtrack had heat on it. Very hard to find the vinyl. JoJo says, I got my Wii promo 12-inch of Think Big single when it originally dropped. I have a white label of that. Yeah, me too. And it never came out. So that's a very valuable record to have. I Bang the Whole De La Soul Is Dead. Man, I love that album so much. Thank you, Blaze Ned. Says, never was a fan of Nervous, didn't like the beat. Thank you. Somebody. Reggie Johnson says, doing our own thing is a slept-on banger. Of course. Shout out to Queen Latifah. Mark Thompson said, Millie pulled the pistol. That was real dope. That's a sad song. I can't even listen to that song. It's just a sad song. Peace Porridge in the Pot was banging too, man. MK Ultra says, R.I.P. Dave. Yeah. Last time I saw him probably was 2012. We chatted for a bit. He didn't really talk a lot, but we chatted for a bit. The whole De La is just, man, those are some cool brothers, man. The whole squad. Shout out to Paz, Maceo, Prince Paul. Jason Wall says, I got in a Twitter argument with Torre on what the better album, De La album, 3 Feet or Dead. 3 Feet changed the game. 3 Feet High and Rising changed the whole hip hop and musical game. It has to be put above everything else. I said it a lot on this channel. It changed. There's only about 10 albums, maybe less. There's about 10, 11 albums that changed rap. Before, rap was something before this, and then when this album dropped, it was something else. De La Soul, 3 Feet High and Rising is one of those albums, so I hold it at the very highest of esteems. And for most of the world, it introduced us to Tribe, too. I know people are going to say, Q-Tip was on the Jungle Brothers, Black is Black. He was on that Jungle Brothers album, but most people knew him as the guy who says in Me, Myself, and I, Black is Black. And then he was all over that 3 Feet High and Rise album. Q-Tip was really like Pluck 4. So that album begat a bunch of other stuff. So I'm going with I'm going with 3 Feet High and Rising all day. And I absolutely love De La Soul Is Dead. Udo should have been the single. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. Terrence Hill says, too many De La songs. Yeah, man. What's the one with them in common? Doom, doom, doom. The one that came out in 96, which should have been a single. I know it wasn't really commercial, but that record was getting a lot of play in New York on the mix shows, even in the clubs. The record with De La Soul and Common. That record was banging. Divine Existence, thank you so much, man. Says, excuse me. Essays on BDPism should have been on a By All Means Necessary album. Yes. Nervous was okay, but By All Means Unnecessary. Yeah, it just didn't fit. And Essays on BDPism was done when Scott was still alive. I don't even know what the purpose of that song. I never got to the bottom of it with Chris, but I'm going to get to the bottom of that song. That's one of my favorite songs he ever did. Ooh from Redman was banging, of course. DJ Casper says something big came out on Bootleg Wax. Remember those Bootleg Wax? Bought it from Beach Street back in the day. I used to go to Beach Street all the time. Big up to Will, DJ Will, who used to DJ in there and play a lot of records. Big up to DJ June. A few DJs on there end up becoming radio DJs. I used to be in Beach Street all the time. They had all of the bootlegs. Who ran up in there? Was it Wu-Tang? Ran up in Beach Street and trashed the place because they had bootlegs in there? Engage says, telling you, man, nervous as fire. Yeah, I'm losing. I'm losing. Yay or nay or nervous? Last time we had this conversation and this time, people are saying that nervous was dope. So I am definitely losing. I did not like that song at all, man. Let's see. Brooklyn Geek says some of the worst beatdowns I've ever seen sober in Coney Island. Word? Coney Island, I went to high school in Lincoln, which was like one train stop away from Coney Island. So basically it was Coney Island. All the Coney Island dudes used to go to Lincoln. And I was from Brooklyn across town. At that time, I used to live in Crown Heights in Brooklyn. And Crown Heights and Bed-Stuy, do or die. And cross town and Coney Island had beef all the time. Beef in high school. I was cool with the Coney Island dudes and crosstown dudes, so I never had beef, but there was definitely tension all the time. Let's see. Let me scroll down a little bit. Big Remo says, RIP Mark the 45 King. Absolutely. I met him up at 98.7 Kiss FM with DJ Red Alert. Patrick Wise says, KP, who plays you in Hip Hop Saved My Life, the unbelievable story of the Parker Brothers movie? Sequel Walls could play an older version of you. That's a great question. That's a great question. Because there'd be different levels of me. It'd be young childhood Kenny and Chris, teenage, young adult, and now. That's a great question. I don't know. They would have to be tall and have range. Oh my goodness. Let's see. You guys are crazy, man. Oh, I know what I wanted to mention real quick. Big up to Outkast and Salt and Pepper for making the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That is the highest honor a musician can get. And we've talked on this channel a bunch of times. I am not a fan of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because I don't like the criteria, how they move the goalpost at their discretion. But I'm very happy for Outkast, first ballot Hall of Famer, and big up Salt and Pepper, probably the biggest, they're the biggest female group ever. And they were probably the biggest of the 80s and early 90s. And I noticed that soul rocker Chubby Checker just made the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which I find odd. Not saying he's not deserving. Big up to him. He is most known for having the record The Twist, which is one of the biggest records of all time, still played to this day. Most of the other songs he did was some version of a dance. Like he kept trying to recreate that dance hit. I don't know if he ever made it because The Twist came out in 1960. So that's before my time. I don't remember any other songs from him. But my question is this. Why in 2025 is all of a sudden Chubby Checker now inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. What happened in the past 20 years that he is now eligible that he wasn't eligible 20 years ago or 10 years ago or 5 years ago? Nothing has changed in his career. Why all of a sudden now he's good to go, but he wasn't good to go 10 years ago? He hasn't done anything new. Just all of a sudden they decided, yeah, Chubby Checker, 2025, yeah, you're good to go. How? What criteria did you use that now he's eligible and he wasn't eligible 5 years ago? There is no criteria. They just pick stuff at their leisure. And that's why I'm not a fan of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Although it's a great honor to be in there, I would love for KRS-One to be in it. Don't know if he'll accept the award, but I would love to see him get that recognition. I don't think he will in his lifetime, but I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of moving the goalposts, man. Okay, that was my rant. Let me move on. Corey Flood says Prince Paul is plugged forward more than Q-Tip. Yeah, he is. Although Q-Tip rapped on De La albums more than Prince Paul. Q-Tip has more vocals on De La Soul's album than Prince Paul. Prince Paul is the producer. You could say he's plugged for, yeah, but Q-Tip, go back and listen to Three. He's all over that album, man. And he's even rapping on De La Soul is Dead. He's on Saturday. I think he has vocals on something else on that album too. Yeah, Prince Paul is probably plugged 4, but Q-Tip is a lot. He's plugged 4.5 then. Criminal Minded changed hip hop too. Absolute fact. This one of those 10, I would say, I'm going with 11-ish, 12 albums that changed the game. Criminal Minded is one of them. George Joe says, Keeping the Faith should have been a single instead of Millie Pulled the Pistol. Absolutely. And shout out to Vinia Mojica. Am I saying it right? Every song that she was like the singer of Native Tongue. And every song I ever heard her on, she just sounded beautiful. And then she just disappeared. I don't know if the music business beat her down or what her story is. Would love to talk to her. There's like no interviews of her that I've ever seen online. It's just like she just disappeared. And she has such a great voice. I think there was something there as I hit the computer. I think there was something there with Vinia Mojica that was never explored to me as a Native Tongue fan. Terrence Hill says The Business. That's the name of the song. The Business was banging. Joey Joe says The Business was on the B side of Stakes is High single. It was? I don't remember that. And I had Stakes is High single. I don't know if the Stakes is High that I had The Business. Maybe it did because there was an instrumental. Yeah, there was an acapella too. Yeah, you're right. I think that should have been a video. Terrence Hill says, Kenny, make a poll for Nervous. I don't know how to make a poll, but I could see already that it's losing. I'm losing. Mark Thompson says Keeping the Faith had a video. Yes, it did. It probably was the 4th single off of that album. Charles 13X says Coney Island is the most depressing place on earth. I assume that you're from Coney Island. I mean, I've been to Coney Island. I was in Coney Island last summer. Went to the beach there, walking around. But the area, I never walked down past. I never walked down. I played ball. There's a boys club out there. Coney Island has a boys club, And my boys club that I went to, the Flatbush Boys Club, we played against the Coney Island Boys Club when I was 15 years old. So that's the only time I ventured into Coney Island past the rides, was to play at that boys club. I wasn't going nowhere near those projects, man. All the stuff I heard, Coney Island is rough, man. James Thomas Jr., thank you once again. Says Paul on all the skits. You know what? You're right. All right, yeah. He's just, yeah. All right, I'm wrong. Good call, James Thomas Jr. Prince Paul is on all the skits. He is plugged for. I'm wrong. You are correct on that one. Afro Connects at the High Five. That was the name of the song. Used to love that. Patrick Wise says, hand clasp for Outkast and Salt and Pepper. Yeah, that's big, man. This is a gigantic question right here, Sugar Puff. Was Spinderella included in the Hall of Fame? Because as we all know, they've been beefing for a few years now. And Salt and Pepper claim that Spinderella isn't even a part of Salt and Pepper. It's that ugly. Which I find hard to believe growing up, listening to them, not growing up because we're the same age, but listening to their music. I hope that Salt and Pepper, they're included. And shout out to the original Spinderella, the Spinderella that was on the first album. Shout out to her too. I hope that they get to walk up there. And I hope Herbie Lovebug gets, he is really, I mean, he did the music and wrote most of the songs. He should really be up there getting an award. He created and wrote and produced a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame act. He should be up there. Herbie Lovebug. I hope Herbie and Spinderella get their props, but who knows, man? It's real ugly with them. They were in court, Salt and Pepper and Spinderella. That's real ugly. I saw this. Chubby Checkers Twist is the only song that hit #1, leave the charts, and return to #1, except for Mariah Carey. Yeah, that was one of the biggest. The Twist is one of the biggest records of all time. That song, I'm not saying he's not deserving, even though one song, I don't know if that deserves Rock and Roll Hall of Fame status, but as big as that song was, let's put him in. But then to me, he should have been in 30 years ago. Chubby Checker should have been in 1995. They say you have to be 25 years after your first single is released. So let's say The Twist was his first record. That was released in 1960, which means he was eligible in 1985. It took them 40 more years to put him in. He hasn't done anything new, really. Don't let me start ranting. I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna get off the soapbox, y'all. Yeah, Typo says the same thing I was saying. He was eligible since 85. BS, man. BS. Epic Green says Rock and Soul Records in Manhattan by Madison Square Garden was another record spot to get white labels. They're still open. They're now on 37th between, what is it, 6th and 5th? I was just in there like 5 months ago. Shout out to my man Money Mike. CMC, once again, thank you so much. Says, by the way, my other favorite De La Soul released the Oodles of O's video 6 months ago after Dave passing. Common and Black Dog guest appear also. You know what? I kind of saw that and I thought it was something else. I didn't really look at it because I was like, what is this? And I didn't really click on it. I should have clicked on it. I think I am going to click on that. Oodles of O's I used to play that in the clubs, and I used to get a nice reaction to that song in 91. That song had everything. It had a dope beat, dope bass line, dope hook. That should have been, that record could have gone to me. I'm gonna check out that video though. Let's see. Theo Sanders says, Kenny, what's even crazier? Why was Prince inducted into the Songwriter Hall of Fame? Wasn't inducted to 2022? That's crazy. If you see all the artists that were inducted before this absolute legend, exactly. He had to pass away. Y'all forgot about him, or just like, all right, we'll get to Prince. He's a no-brainer. Like, what's the criteria? Prince should be, the day he's eligible, should have been in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. His first record dropped in 78. Let's see, 88, 98. 2002, he was eligible for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and all awards. He should have just swept all awards. Lifetime Grammy, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, BET, VH. Just give him everything that you could give an artist. Give it to Prince. In 2002, they waited 20 more years. His family shouldn't even have accepted it. They should have just been like, I'm good. Ann says, DOS Effects changed hip hop. I don't know if they changed hip hop, but they had a style that was bit by everybody for a second. Their style was so bitten that when they tried to come back with their same style 2 years later, they sound like they were copying. They sounded dated with their own style. People bit it so bad. I don't know if it changed the game as more if it was a style that was copied. Because to me, change the game is like forevermore. They definitely influenced a lot of, no, they didn't influence, people just stole their style. There's no way around it. They couldn't even use their own style. Gregory Netta says, I enjoy Salt and Pepper more than Outkast. Wow, that's a big statement right there. That's a big statement, Gregory Netta. I don't know how many people are going to roll with you on that one. I love Salt and Pepper. Outkast is something different to me. Charles 13X says 9mm was KRS-One's first hit record. I disagree with that, 13X. South Bronx was his first hit record. 9mm was never even a single. South Bronx was his first hit, and then The Bridge Is Over was the second single that was a hit. Then Poetry was the lead single off of Criminal Minded album, and then Criminal Minded was a single. 9mm was never even a single. That's an album cut. Yeah, Philly Steve says Paul is more on De La than Tip. Every skit on 2 Feet High Rise and De La is dead. Paul is on every skit there. Now, yeah, he is. He is. MMA says Shorty disappeared too after Balloon Mind State. Yeah, they was building up Shorty to be like their female MC. I am Shorty. And then poof, who knows? Vivian Mojica needs to be a guest. Absolutely. I would love to hear her stories. Don't know her, never met her. MK Ultra says 36 Chambers changed the game. I don't know if that changed the game. I think that was a dope record for them. I don't think there was legions of Wu-Tang Clan members after that. I don't think like they did something that was never done before or rarely done before, and after they did it, everybody did it. I think Wu-Tang Clan album is one of the greatest ever, 36 Chambers, but I don't know if it changed the game. Like NWA Straight Outta Compton changed the game. Eric B. and Rakim Paid in Full changed the game. I don't know if Wu-Tang Clan changed the game. I think it was a great album for them. There's some great albums um, that I don't think that changed the game, but they were unbelievable. Silent Summer says Prince Paul is plugged for without a doubt. Yes. Yes. Dartmouth says, I love when De La Soul asks, where were you when you first heard Criminal Minded on their opening album? I saw a clip where where Paz, the news says, the first, when he was in Latin Quarters and he walked up to me and thought I was KRS-One. I don't remember this story, but Paz tells this story of how he walked up to me and was talking to me like I was KRS-One. I was like, no, my brother's over there. And I pointed him to my brother. He thought I was KRS. That's funny. Big up Paz. Yeah, I'm wrong about Q-Tip being plugged for. He's on there a lot, man. Joey Joe says, maybe Chubby Checker wasn't in it for so long because he only had one hit. Also, so many other artists they nominated that don't get inducted that are more deserving. I don't want to use the word more deserving. I'm going to say as equally deserving. Let's say that. I don't want to say one person doesn't deserve to be there or not, but you are right. It says maybe Chubby Checker wasn't in it for so long because he only had one hit. Well, what changed? I mean, does that mean if you only have one hit, then you have to wait a while? Nothing changed. His status has been cemented for the past 50 years. I just don't understand it. And if you're saying one gigantic record gets you in, we could probably think of some other artists with a gigantic record that has stood the test of time that's probably not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Corey Flood says Vino Mojica couldn't sing. Wow. She couldn't hold down an entire song like TJ Swan. They was good for hooks. I don't know. I never heard her sing an entire song. And not at that time. Like maybe she put out something years later. I don't know. But at the time, 91, 92, when she was singing on the De La songs, when she sung on Low End Theory, you got it going on. It's not an R&B song. When she sung that, when she sung on Talib Kweli, Body, when she was singing those songs, I would have loved to have heard her jump on a beat and see what she had. I don't know if she couldn't sing. Charles says The Business was its own single and the B-side was It's So Easy. Really? I thought It's So Easy had a video. I don't know. I don't remember it being a single. I remember being played a lot. I could be wrong. Anton Candy Gaming says, I got family from Coney Island. Grimes. Yeah. Coney Island was grimy. It was super grimy in the 80s because I went to high school with a bunch of them. Gregory Netter says it's 9:04 in my DJ Kenny Parker voice. And man, that means I'm way behind. So what I'm going to do is scroll down. Benny Doyle scroll down in effect. I'm going to stop here. Gregory Netter says 36 Chambers changed the game more than a Tribe Called Quest album. I don't know if a Tribe Called Quest album changed the game, but Low End Theory, so you're saying 36 Chambers is more influential than Low End Theory? Possibly. I mean, it's apples and oranges, but I don't know. I'm not sure about that. It's possible. Jason Wall says Rodney Dangerfield's song "Rapping Rodney" changed the game. Probably did. For comedians to rap. Oh. Kenny, do you still have any old school merch or jackets from BDP? I still have I have the hat that KRS-One wore on the By All Means Necessary album cover. That whole suit, he wore that suit on the cover of By All Means Necessary, and then he wore the same suit in the My Philosophy video. He gave me that hat. He took it off his head and plopped it on my head in '88. I still have that hat. It's in terrible condition, but I still have it. That's basically it. I have this. A BDP medallion. Remember medallions? I think De La had the dopest medallions. Somebody gave us this on a BDP medallion. I think I got this in like 92. That's like over 30 years old. I have it sitting right there. I used to have a few jackets, leather jackets, lost it all over the years. Low End Theory changed the game. It might possibly, that's a borderline for me, but possibly. The sound of it, the jazz fusion. But it wasn't like everybody, it wasn't like after that there was a whole genre called A Tribe Called Quest. It's like Native Tongue was dope for them. But possibly, because it wasn't for Native Tongue, there wouldn't have been a few of the groups out now, like not now, but like Mos Def and Talib and some of the few guys, even a Kanye. But then again, I'm saying without 3 Feet High and Rising, there's no Low End Theory. To me, all of that goes back to 3 Feet High and Rising. To me, that's why I have that at the very top. Divine Existence said 36 Chambers record deal changed the game. Artists and groups releasing solo or alternative group projects on different labels. But did it really? How many groups had a deal like that? That was an amazing deal. How many groups were signed to one label but can leave and have different deals on different labels? That was an incredible deal structure. I don't know if I've ever seen that again. Not from a major group. JT, thank you for your contribution to the channel. Says, hey KP, how do you and KRS rate the remix for PS3? It still hits hard to this day, in my opinion. It's banging. That's the first song Premier did for Boogie Down Productions. You know, if you remember, I say this on this channel all the time. When Premier did the myth that Jive puts out is that after Sex and Violence, KRS-One was going solo and they wanted KRS-One to have a different sound. So they brought in DJ Premier to do the KRS-One solo album, Return of the Boom Bap. In fact, if you go back and check, I could be wrong, but y'all can fact check me on this. The PS3 remix is on the Menace to Society soundtrack, and it's under Boogie Down Productions, not KRS-One. It ended up being on Return of the Boom Bap as one of the 5 songs that Premier produced, but originally that was a Boogie Down production song. So at the time that Premier did the remix of the PS3, which is the first song that he did with Chris, I was not in the studio for that, which is the first song he did with Chris, it was still Boogie Down Productions. Something happened after that song. But I rate it very high. That was banging. Rosmel says, when the RZA first conceived the idea of an 8-member rap group, people thought he was crazy. Yeah, there's a lot of people. Engage says, nice BDP medallion, thanks. Corey Fletch says, Kenny, you have to clear with your definition. What do you mean by albums that change the game? What are your qualifiers that change the game? I mean, hip hop was going in a direction or had set genres, and then a certain album dropped and changed the course of hip hop or opened up a new genre, like Run DMC, Sucker MCs. That song, Sucker MCs, changed rap. Rap before Sucker MCs sounded one way. Then after Sucker MCs, all of the songs, not all, but most of the songs coming out after Sucker MCs went strictly drum machines and hard, new style. Right before Sucker MCs, it was the band and everybody going rah and all of that stuff. Then Sucker MCs dropped and it was a new day. Eric B. Rakim, when he came with the smooth flow and vocabulary, at that time, everybody was screaming like Run DMC, LL, rock the bells. Everybody was rah, 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 trying to be as aggressive as possible. Rakim came out with that style. And then after that, a whole bunch of MCs started sounding just like Rakim. Similar flow, trying to use his word patterns. If you look at Criminal Minded came with 3 styles. It came with the first battle rap record, The Bridge Is Over. Before The Bridge Is Over, battling was basically done on live, face to face. After The Bridge Is Over, battling became on wax. The Bridge Is Over started a whole new genre called battle rap on wax. Before that, it was only face-to-face in the cipher. Also, the offbeat rhyme style. Go back and listen to a word from our sponsor, where KRS kind of moves the words around. You know, he goes, most rap was going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Word from our sponsor, KRS-One, starts going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That offbeat rhyme style, oodles of people copied after that. And the reggae fusion of hip hop and reggae. Now, a couple people did it before him, but when he did it, that's when it changed. And after that, there was a bunch of reggae hip hop. I'm going to say Schoolie D, P.S. King. I don't consider that the first gangster rap record to me, but when you look at all of the West Coast people, because I think after NWA, Straight Outta Compton, after that album dropped, gangster rap was born from that point on. Now, there's some people that touched on it. Just Ice was the original gangster of hip hop, and you had Ice-T, 6 in the Morning, but rap was not in that style. When NWA dropped Straight Outta Compton, that changed the trajectory. Now, some people in the West Coast say that Schoolie D, P.S. King, was the record that inspired Ice-T and Dre and all of them to do gangster rap. So I consider that song a game changer. And I consider NWA changed the game. Same way De La Soul, 3 Feet High and Rising, the skits, the sampling of other music outside of James Brown and funk. These are all things that were copied by oodles of MCs after that. The dress. When De La Soul dropped 3 Feet High and Rising, everybody was rocking big dookie robes. Remember that? Everybody was how much jewelry you could put on. They came out talking about no jewelry. We're rocking this other style. It's okay to be different. And after that, there was no jewelry for a while. The jewelry style kind of went out of style all the way until Bad Boy came and brought it back. I consider those albums game changers. Now, if you look at when De La Soul, 3 Feet High and Rising came out, Around that time, Slick Rick dropped The Great Adventures of Slick Rick, one of the greatest albums of all time from beginning to end. But I don't think that changed the game. I don't think it was like after that album dropped, we had legions of Slick Ricks running around. No, that album was dope for Slick Rick. He dropped that album. We all loved it. It sold 1.5 million. It still stands up to this day. But then was there like after that a bunch of Slick Ricks? No, it was just that album. Slick Rick didn't even sound like Slick Rick when he came back after that, musically. So that's when I say game changer, I mean when certain songs and certain styles dropped, it altered the course of hip hop. There was legions of people following after that. Same with conscious music. The Message, which I think is the most important record of all time in rap, in '82 started the conscious movement. It started the conscious idea, but it didn't start the movement. Because you gotta understand, in '82, they dropped The Message, but rap was still talking about partying and girls and, how many Mercedes, no, it wasn't talking about how many Cadillacs you have and all of that stuff. You had a couple of songs here and there, Problems of the World Today, or what Run DMC had, It's Like That, and that's the way it is. And they're talking about stuff, but it didn't really change. Hip hop still stayed in its genre. When Public Enemy came, I'm gonna say KRS-Two, by all means necessary, but Public Enemy, It Takes a Nation of Millions. When that album dropped, after that, the conscious wave came. So that's why when I say change the game, that's my definition. There's a distinct before and after. Now, if you ask me, Wu-Tang 36 Chambers, one of the greatest albums of all time. What was the before and after of 36 Chambers? KB Plays, thank you for your contribution to the channel. KB says, Ninth Wonder said the infamous by Mobb Deep is the greatest New York hip hop album. What are your thoughts on that? I don't think it's the greatest New York hip hop album. I don't know if it's the greatest New York hip hop album of that time. Because to me, Illmatic, I would have over the Infamous. Now, Infamous is a great album, but I wouldn't put it over 36 Chambers, and I wouldn't put it over Illmatic. But it was great. Would I put it even over Ready to Die? I don't know. That's just that time. But everyone has their own opinion. Some people might think it's the greatest album of all time. Just for me, Illmatic might have been a game changer as well. All right, we're at an hour and a half. I just want to see a couple of comments on what I said. I'm gonna jump off. MMA says Nation of Millions elevated the game. Absolutely. Gregory, Run DMC definitely, but you could say PE NWA as well. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Let me scroll down to the very bottom. I'm just gonna jump. Christopher Reed says, yo, Kenny, you're forgetting about Kool G Rap. He was hard gangster. He had the more the mafioso style, but I think he dropped in '89. He dropped around the same time as NWA. I think NWA was more impactful. Charles 13X says, wasn't no before or after because only Wu sounded like Wu. That's my argument. Wu-Tang sound like Wu-Tang. There's no... Terrence Hill says, before 36 Chambers, no one was talking about Staten Island. That's true. They definitely put Staten Island on the map. Absolutely. Rid says 36 Chambers, the only Wu album I listened to. Wow. Yeah, I listened to all of that. That Purple tape, man. That purple tape was something special. Around the same time as the Infamous as well. That purple tape. Rosmel says Junior Mafia and Boot Camp are both results of Wu-Tang effect. I don't know. I don't really see that like that. I don't know. That to me, I don't equate that. Chris Reese says Bakuji Rap came first. He was out first, but I mean NWA came out when did Straight Outta Compton dropped in 88, right? And Coogee Rap's album dropped in 89. Now Coogee Rap was out first, but it's a demo. And what did he have out before his album dropped? It's a demo. Rikers Island, Rhyme Time. I loved Rhyme Time, but I don't see it. I don't think it changed the game. His rhyme style is very influential. His rhyme style is incredibly influential. But I don't know if it was from a particular album. That's a tough one. Coogee Rap is a tough call for me. And I don't know if the purple tape is a game changer, but man, oh man. Gene Crutcher says, yeah, Boot Camp was pretty much in the tandem of Wu. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. G-Rap had Road to the Riches. Road to the Riches was not like Straight Outta Compton and F the Police. That album was that album, Straight Outta Compton, is a whole different. I'm talking about America. I'm talking about the game changed. I remember when Road to the Riches was out. I don't remember like everybody being like G-Rap. I just don't remember it like that. Let's see. I'm gonna scroll. I'm at the very bottom. Okay. And I think it says Iron Man is better than the purple tape. Iron Man was really dope too. I love the purple tape, so I'm a purple tape guy all the way. Iron Man was great too. Iron Man was great. Great. These are great albums. Taim says Road to the Riches was 88. I remember it being, well, it must have been late 88 because I remember it being hot in 89. Dream Crusher said they came out around the same time. They did come out around the same time, but I'm going to say that Straight Outta Compton is considerably more impactful than Coogee Rap and Polo's album. Rest in peace to Polo, by the way. That was my dude. I'm going to say, that's just my opinion. I'm going to say that G-Raps did not do to gangster rap what NWA did. Special Ed said in an interview that NWA destroyed hip hop. I don't know if it just I don't know if I agree with that. Destroyed hip hop. I don't know if it destroyed hip hop. Big Reamer says Straight Outta Compton changed the whole coast. Yeah. All right. Philly She says, nah, it's not. Love Iron Man, but not better than Cuban Links. That's that purple tape, man. Man, listen. Kenny said, Kenny, I remember battle rap was face to face, but wouldn't you consider the UTFO Roxanne Shantae battle before the bridge is over? I don't know if that was a battle. I look at that more as an answer record. I don't know if it was because I don't know if it's necessarily a battle because UTFO never even really responded to Shantae. Because Salt and Pepper came out with the Showstopper, which was the answer to it was the answer to Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick. Remember they dissed them? There was like the answer. There was like a couple of the girls would come out with an answer record to the guys' record. Hot guy record, the girls would come out with an answer. I don't put that the same as a battle. Like the Bridge is Over was the battle that started with South Bronx and ended with the Bridge is Over. I look at after that, everything after that was different, completely different. After Shantae dropped Roxanne's Revenge, it didn't change the game. It was just a girl made a record dissing UTFO. Oh, that's cool. But it wasn't like, okay, that's the new style to me. Charles 13X says G-Rap dropped It's a Demo in 86. Yes, but that wasn't gangster. It was just a dope record. So Demo was dope. Tahim says Ice Cube's America's Most Wanted was ridiculous. Ice Cube had like a 4-album run that NWA, Straight Outta Compton, America's Most, Kill at Will, the EP, and Death Certificate. That, man. All right, I'm about to jump off. We had an hour and a half. Charles 13X is NWA is a more conscious rap group than a gangster rap group. The media labeled them that, but Straight Outta Compton was a conscious record. I don't look at it like that. I don't see much consciousness about NWA. Ice Cube had a couple things to say, but he was talking about street life and gang culture. I think America's Most Wanted was more conscious. Straight Outta Compton was just straight gang life outside of F the Police. All right. I'm jumping off. I said this about 10 minutes ago. Patrick Wise says, KP, you should end every show with till next week, you jive turkeys. Solid. You know what? We're bringing Jive Turkey back on this channel, man. That's oh my goodness. Delano says, peace, Kenny. Purple Tape or Liquid Sword? I love Liquid Sword too. And Jizza is my guy too. Shout out to the Jizza. I gotta go Purple Tape, man. I think, and this is my opinion, don't beat me up. I think Purple Tape is the second best Wu-Tang album after 36 Chambers. Now, I'm going to get beat up on this channel, so I'm going to jump off before y'all can get me. Oh, shoot. All right, let's go to the bottom. That's it. Y'all talking about Clifton Powell. We was talking about that on Friday. I'm going to bring him up again. All right, you jive turkeys. Somebody said groovy. All right, you jive turkeys. I will try to come on this Friday, 8 o'clock. And can you dig it? Somebody disagrees with me on Purple Tape being the second best album. Hey, man, everybody has their own opinions. All right, we out of here, y'all. I'll catch you guys probably on Friday. Peace.